Hello and welcome to Women Who Rise, a podcast devoted to. Can I start that again?
Yes, you can.
Fuck that up. Okay, we're gonna have to have like little end of year, like fucking bloopers or something.
Yes, you can.
Ah, love that. Okay, let's try again.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to Women Who Rise, a podcast for women devoted to growth, leadership, and consciousness. We're your hosts, Nicole Williams and Taylor Lamascolo, and on today's episode, it is devoted to energy and energetics and the deeper role that they play in our lives, leadership, business, relationships, and overall expansion.
Amazing. I am so excited for this episode. In our past episodes, we have done a interview style podcast where we interview each other and we ask and answer questions. But in this episode, we're going to go more into a flow, a conversation style, and we're going to share both of our perspectives on the themes and topics for the podcast today. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. And Nicole, I'm going to allow you to take the lead.
Okay, no problem. So, Taylor, I would love to know when you were first introduced to energy and energetics, and what does it play? What role does that play for you in your life right now?
hmm So I think I've always been tuned into the energy as opposed to, um, you know, seeing this reality at like face value. And what I mean by that is the universe is made up of like 99.99999% energy, right? So most people think that this reality is what we see through the five senses, like what we like, but there is a sixth sense, which is your intuition, right? And your intuition, when you're connected to your intuition, you understand the world beyond what's right in front of you, right? So this is kind of what energy is and being tuned into the energy as opposed to what's happening right in front of you. And when you are tuned into the energy of things, you have a deeper understanding of maybe why things are happening, how things are happening, for what reason things are happening, right? Understanding that life isn't just a series of, strange, painful, weird events. And it's
Yeah.
actually all part of a greater plan that is happening, right? So it's having this connection to something bigger and beyond what we can see in this physical reality, right? So, uh, yeah, I have always just been tuned into energy, but it wasn't until my awakening where my understanding of intuition and the spirit realm really came online, right?
Yeah.
So, and then when it comes to energetics, I really started learning it when I got into like the coaching space, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, and this is kind of like what I have been taught through my mentors, but also through my spirit guides, right? And it's basically how you lead in your life from the soul and not from logic.
Hmm.
Okay. So, how can we stop looking at things logically and understand them from a soul perspective? And understanding that there is an unseen component to this reality that is playing out what you can physically see, right?
Yeah.
So, it's more so understanding that it's actually 95% of the unseen that's controlling 5% of the seen. And if we were to focus on and learn about what's going on in the unseen
Hmm.
and start connecting with that, understanding it, working with
Hmm.
it, that we would be able to shift the external reality that we physically see. So understanding that this reality is actually a mirror of what's going on internally, and
Yeah.
understanding that your connection to yourself is actually what is causing things to happen in your external world. So this is a concept that I don't think is widely known, let alone understood, right? The word energetics I was not aware of that word until my current mentor, until I discovered Nat actually. My first mentor was like a manifestation and business coach, right? And she taught frequency.
Hmm.
So, and the subconscious mind. Whereas understanding energetics is more about leading with the energy, leading with the vision, leading with the identity, leading with embodiment, right? So, all of these concepts and understandings that are related to the self, as opposed to understanding things logically with the logical mind as we've been trained and taught, right? So where were we? What was the question? Did I answer the
You
question?
are answering the question. That is perfect. So we were talking about how you were first introduced to energy, which is you've
Yep.
covered,
Yep.
and energetics, and how that then what role does that play in your life right now?
Right. Okay. Yeah. So as I've now understood things from an energetic, soul-led perspective, I get to operate from that place, right?
Hmm.
So, and how I do that, I'm just more so led by the vision. I'm led, and then I also, it's also about alignment and energetic alignment, right? So, when you look at things logically or you do things strategically,
Hmm.
it's more force, it's more effort, it's more hustle, it's more do, right? But when you operate energetically, you're more led by, the internal world. And what you focus on is the internal world. So you're removing things internally, emotions, beliefs, thoughts that are not
Hmm.
in alignment with the vision of where you're trying to go,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah. So
Mm.
it's calibrating to the version of you who already has the thing, the life, the um business, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, right? And it's understanding that shifting the internal world is what's going to create that reality externally from an illogical standpoint perspective, not by doing more, but by shifting internally to align with that thing and becoming an energetic match for that reality. Okay.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah,
creating from alignment, not effort, not hustling, not doing more. It's more who am I being? Who am I becoming? How am I embodying the identity of that? Right. So,
yeah.
yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that perception, and I love um how encompassing it really was. I I feel like you are completely right in the sense that it's not a concept that a lot of people have in their awareness just yet. I feel like the world and the human race is getting there. A lot more people are conscious of consciousness, really.
Yeah.
And it is becoming, I don't want to say a trend, but it's like the more people talk about it, the more people are open about it, the more people jump on board. It's like any form of knowledge, right?
Yes.
So the way that I foresee and explain to my clients about energy and energetics is very much similar to your perception, which is that essentially everything in existence is energy.
Mhm.
full stop. That 99.9% that you said
Yeah.
is energy.
Yeah.
It's raw life force, and it's both visible and not visible,
Yeah.
matter or non-matter.
Yeah.
So not just your emotions, not just your thoughts, your feelings, all that kind of stuff, but matter itself. Energy can be expressed and experienced in countless different forms. So depending on its like rate, its speed, its density, or its frequency, or frequency, vibration, same thing, just different words.
Mhm.
So from that like scientific perspective, and by no means am I a scientist, I'm just going to put that out there. So if I say it not right, um, but from the scientific perspective, everything is just made up of these vibrating particles and space,
Mhm.
which means that what we actually experience in the 3D, so in the planetary realm, as solid, is simply energy moving at a slower pace or a slower frequency and a greater density. Therefore, we're able to see it, feel it, touch it,
Mhm.
and experience it in that form. So if we think to like an example of what it might look like would be the planet. Everyone knows that we're on Mother Earth,
Mhm.
and Mother Earth resonates at its own frequency, and it has its own natural electromagnetic field or frequency that is around 7.83 hertz, which is known as the Schumann resonance. I'm sure you're aware of the Schumann resonance. You can even look up the cute little app. It tells you where you sit on the Schumann resonance on a daily basis, which is pretty cool. But this 7.83 hertz actually is the same wavelength as a theta brainwave state. So in the human brainwave, which is one of the modalities I use within my business as well. Um, and what you would use in your business too, being deep meditation, intuition, creativity, healing, nervous system regulation, that subconscious access, that's that th theta brainwaves frequency. So interestingly enough, if we then compare like Earth's frequency with the human body frequency, the human body frequency is actually doesn't just resonate at one fixed frequency like Mother Earth. Like Mother Earth will kind of teeter in that sort of range, but the human body doesn't do the same. Its range is much wider, and it is relative to, it'll range between 4 and 12 hertz, which is the same as the Earth's frequency, obviously on a larger scale, but its range would be dependent on the nervous system, what we're exposed to, what we expose ourselves to, our emotions, our experiences, and then our level of consciousness. So if we are someone who sits in a more negative or lower frequency state, we might be resonating more so around the 4. Whereas if we are a bit more, I'm going to call it love and light, a bit more positive, a bit more optimistic, maybe more connected to the higher realms and our higher selves and our highest frequency, we might sit in those higher states. But it's also why when we're practicing modalities or daily practices like grounding or meditation or, earthing, walking around with your shoes on, hugging a tree, whatever it is you like to do, we
Mhm.
feel more regulated, more calm because we're actually allowing our body to come back into coherence with Mother Earth's natural frequency.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's important to understand that the goal really isn't to raise our frequency, right? We all say we want to raise our frequency to be our highest selves. That is just, I think, a perfect 3D term that most people can wrap their head around. But essentially, I think the goal is to increase our coherence to
Mm,
create that overall internal harmony
mhm,
between the mind, the body, and the nervous system,
mhm.
and connection to source, spirit, creator, whatever it is you like to call your higher self. Um, and then, yeah, which is,
Go ahead, Lon. Yeah.
no, no, you're okay. Yeah.
Think that's a really beautiful perspective because most people really focus on raising your vibration, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
mean, and your perspective is quite different. It's actually just more about coming into your natural state, right?
Mm,
So you're still actually raising your frequency, but it's from the perspective of you're actually just coming back into coherence with your normal natural state of being
yeah. Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Connecting with, the natural source frequency and the frequency of Mother Earth, which is who you are, right?
Yeah.
So,
Mm,
I think that's a really beautiful perspective and not one that I hear very often. Um, Another
yeah.
another way to understand like the vibration that you're like resonating at is the map of consciousness. So I think it's like David Hawkins' scale of consciousness. So if any for anyone listening, you can just Google like David Hawkins scale of consciousness, and it's that graph that has like the hertz and what you're vibrating at and what
Yeah.
emotions are causing which state. So I think that's a really good place to do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, I was literally thinking, oh, this is I need to bring this up and I can give like little examples of what that is, but you've just nailed it. They can do their own homework.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
Yeah.
go to the David Hawkins scale of consciousness and just go look at, what emotions you're always like the emotions that you're mostly sitting within, whether it be shame, fear, guilt, right?
Hmm.
Or
Yeah.
if it's more in the love and light space, like you said, where it's more like joy, abundance, peace, if you've been able to like come back into coherence with your natural frequency, then you
Mhm.
will be vibrating at, a higher frequency, which will completely shift your reality, right? So
Yeah. And I think it's around like, well, what Earth is at 7.83 hertz. And I believe that like God or consciousness of God is like 700 plus. So there's like this huge scalable range between like what sits in those spaces. I think it's important to, again, understand that difference, like you've said, between energy and energetic. So what I just explained is energy. That's
yes,
how it's relative to the
yeah,
3D
yeah,
experience, but energetics is essentially the invisible architecture behind the experience.
yeah.
So that's how our nervous system shapes our perception, as you've said, how our emotional patterns influence our behavior,
Mhm.
how our beliefs then shape our choices,
Yeah.
and then how our internal frequency impacts our external reality.
Um,
Energetics I find, and is easiest explained or understood if you think about two people walking into a room and they are going to an event, there's someone speaking on stage, they're sitting in the seat right next to each other, they have the same strategies, the same tools, the same resources, but yet still are able to have a completely different experience because they're operating at two different frequencies.
100%. This
Yeah.
is why no two, like a strategy might work for one person, but not for the other person. And this is why,
Um,
I mean, a strategy in life, a strategy in business, and just a strategy in general at anything you're trying to achieve. That's why it's important to look at what's going on at a deeper level. If
mhm.
you're not seeing, a specific result in your life, right? So it's like, and then not getting trapped in comparison with other people too. It's like, just know that you can always get to the root of something. There is always
Yeah.
a way out of where you are now, and it's by looking into the energetics.
Yeah, absolutely. Energy is the frequency we carry, but the energetics is how that frequency then influences your life. So
Yeah.
if you change
Mhm.
your energy,
Yep.
the reflection of that energetic frequency is then going to be different in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I think it's only like once we actually understand energetics, like you said, we stop trying to force change and
Yeah.
we understand that the shift actually begins with ourselves.
Mhm.
If you forgot about everything else in
Yeah.
your external reality and stopped trying to control all of those things and wholly and solely focused on yourself, everything else would reflect that perfectly.
Exactly. And that's actually where the awakening comes in, right? It's waking up to and understanding that you are creating everything in your reality, right? We are always creating and manifesting at any given time, right? So you actually have the power to change your reality by
Mhm.
shifting internally. Okay, so shifting to align, doing the inner work. I always say inner work is the strategy. Inner work
Mm,
is the strategy, right?
yeah.
So if you are trying to do something or achieve something or get somewhere or anything, go inward every single time. That is the most aligned, most effortless, easiest way to change something in your life. As
Mm,
opposed to going out there and trying to physically control and keep getting the same outcome every single time. You're,
hmm.
you know what I mean? You're trying
Yeah.
to chase an outcome instead of actually becoming the person that has that outcome already.
Yeah.
Focusing on your internal world and your identity and who you're becoming.
Mm, yeah. Absolutely. I feel like a lot of people will hear that and say, "Oh, that sounds so easy." I do really feel like a lot of people struggle with it. And I feel like people struggle with taking time to slow down.
Mhm.
They actually struggle with creating space to
Mhm.
sit within because the within is confronting at times. It can be really hard to sit there and recognize that if there is something not ideal in their life that is reflecting back,
Mhm.
the first place they have to look is their self. And it's like, well, if we've got to do that, then we have to admit that we're not resonating at our highest frequency. So that whole process of awakening,
Mhm.
becoming conscious of,
Yep.
and then acknowledging that perhaps we need to improve or clear, or sometimes all it takes is the awareness to be like, hey, I don't feel like I have been my highest and best today. I'll give an example from myself, something that I would notice that tries to sneak in as like a simple thing of like a complaint of something little. And I go, oh, what am I doing? Like, I don't need to complain about that. But that actually being aware of like, even like going, oh, my glass of water is too warm today, rather than being like, I'm so grateful for that glass of water. The reflection and the energetic imprint is going to be so different to how that will be mirrored, even just by one simple little expression.
Absolutely. And it's like because like if you choose to look at the water and be like, oh, this glass of water is too warm, that's the frequency, and you don't catch it in your awareness, the next thing that comes into your awareness is you're going to have the same outlook on that thing.
Hmm.
And that's the frequency you're going to carry throughout the day. So if you
Yeah.
don't have the awareness, that's how you're going to be consistently operating. But when you catch yourself, and you say, I'm so grateful for this glass of water,
Hmm.
you shift, say you originally had the thought that it was too warm, and then you shifted it to this, I'm so grateful for this glass of water. Just in that moment, you shifted timelines. You're completely operating on from a different frequency, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the rest of your day, you're going to stay in, oh, I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful for this. I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for this, right? As opposed to everything not being enough and looking at it that way, not being good enough, right? So,
Hmm.
so yeah, it's like having the awareness that in any given moment, you actually get to choose who you are being, right?
Absolutely.
So
Hmm.
it's always a choice. And it is this operating from this level of awareness and being conscious, it is not
Hmm.
easy at first.
Nope.
Like, I am not going to sit here and tell you that anything that we're talking about when it comes to soul evolution, consciousness, ascension, it's not easy stuff to do because we are so programmed and hardwired from a
Hmm.
masculine perspective. We've been programmed and ingrained from a very young age
Hmm.
that having a connection to our soul is so foreign to us.
Hmm.
So foreign, right? So it does take time. It does take micro choices. It does take screwing up and, picking yourself back up and then trying again, right? Like, even as people who teach this work and teach other
Yeah.
people this work, we're not
Yeah.
exempt from being human.
No,
He's, we
absolutely not.
still, we still make mistakes. I still have, spiraling thoughts, or I still have self-doubt come in, or I still have, fears. But the thing is, I've learned the tools to regulate myself
Hmm.
through these things so that
Yes.
I can shift at any moment into that higher frequency by choice through
Hmm.
awareness, as
Yeah.
opposed to staying on that low frequency and spiraling in that negative energy all day, right?
Hmm.
So that's the difference from
Yeah.
somebody who has um, learned how to,
Grasp the concept of it's essentially, well, it's essentially a free will, isn't it? Right? Because
yeah,
free free will is the innate capacity to choose, which is essentially what you are saying. It's
right.
in every moment in life, we have a choice and we get to choose. If you think every decision you make in a day, we'll use the glass of water. Do I want warm water? Do I want cold water?
Mhm.
It's a path, right? Do
Yes.
I go this way? Do I go this way? There's essentially no right or wrong. It's just whether you want to be choosing whichever path that is in your highest vibration. So it's on a human level, that free will is like that response to how you respond to your circumstances, your belief systems, your behaviors, your identity, your direction, but the direction that you choose time and time again. It's like how
Mhm.
you said,
Yeah.
whether, um, that repetitive choice is if I'm going to be constantly complaining about something, well, that's what's going to be reflected and mirrored time and time again. However, if I sit in the space of I am so grateful, that is also what's going to be reflected. And it's that we have free choice to be either or
Yeah.
both, whatever you like.
Yeah.
Um, but it doesn't come without, it's a conscious effort
Yes. There we go.
every day.
Yeah.
And we have we're not superior, you or I, because we sit in the space of mentoring or we have our businesses in energetics.
Yeah.
Um, and we just understand it at a deeper level
Yeah.
that we are able to navigate these trickier times
Yeah.
maybe a little bit easier because we have the tools, the resources, the knowledge, the wisdom. Of course, we are still learning
Yes.
as well along the way. I don't think the learning will ever stop. It's like one of those things where it's like you open the book and you're like, oh, I thought I knew it until I read this book.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just that we have the privilege of having enough tools and resources under our belt that we now get to share that with other people. And we get to teach them the simple tools, the practices that they can make a conscious decision of
Ab-
who they want to be in their life. And if they choose their highest frequency or not, that's completely up to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have another strong example of this for me was I have struggled in the past with like body image issues.
Hmm.
Okay.
Mm.
So I know this is going to serve women because who doesn't have these issues, right? I think just all humans in general have these issues for some reason, right? But when I, had to journey the path of actually healing this at a subconscious level and going to visit like the deep unconscious shadow that was like controlling my body image problems, like my self-hatred towards my body.
Mhm.
What after I did the deep subconscious healing work that like my guides, obviously uh, guided me to do. Um,
Mhm.
After I healed that at the subconscious level, my guides were like, now everything that you do and say towards yourself is a choice.
Mhm.
You've done the work. So they're like, now you can choose to dislike your body. You can choose to not like the things on your body physically, or you can
Mhm.
choose a different frequency. That was their direct guidance. You've done the
Mhm.
work, you've healed. So now moving forward, because it's not actually holding weight energetically in your field, which is then
Mhm.
controlling your thoughts and beliefs and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
Yes, because it is a thing of my past. It is a conscious imprint that still lives there a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's still something that I'm like, but it is now for me a choice to choose whether I want to say those negative things to myself or I want
Mhm.
to choose differently. Now it's
Mhm.
on me, right?
Yeah.
So that's just another strong example of, the free will choice that you have and what frequency do you want to carry throughout all of your actions, behaviors, and things throughout your day. So
Mhm.
that's just a way. So now my job to embody that higher frequency is to look at myself and say nice things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Well,
mean?
this is the where words of affirmation come in, right? Because it's not only the actions that we take every day or, something in solid form, as we've just said, everything carries an energetic frequency. The words we use,
Yeah.
the conversations we have, the everything is that energetic imprint. And the more times you practice saying perhaps to yourself in the mirror about your body image, you are beautiful, you are strong, whatever that looks like to you, like you have the best, most fit, appealing body, love it. Like, I love you in the mirror. Holy moly, is one of the most powerful ways you can start reprogramming or putting out the frequency, which is reprogramming your nervous system and your energy to receive that back and to actually be in alignment with that belief
Yes.
to the center of your core.
Yeah. And the first time that I actually said I love you in the mirror to myself, I
Mhm.
bawled my eyes out. Like
Yes.
because for literally like 30 years, Like it didn't
Hmm.
matter how skinny I was, how whatever, it didn't matter. From a very young age, I would stare in the mirror and I would pick myself apart, right?
Yes.
So what you are at a nervous system level is hardwired, right? Against the belief that I love my body, right? I love you, right?
Hmm.
So I am my actual full being is wired a certain way. And when it comes to like reprogramming and rewiring this, it's
Hmm.
like your body is crying because A, you're healing it, but you're shifting on an
Hmm.
energetic level your
Hmm.
your entire being, right? So this is what I want you to understand is that your body is listening to your thoughts. Your body
Absolutely.
is listening to your words, right? You are an energetic being. So,
Hmm.
rewiring the way that you perceive yourself
Hmm.
is going to be, is like almost like, I mean, like, that is a big foundation of your personal evolution, like in anything. Because
Hmm.
if it weren't for the foundation that I built by doing mirror work, like probably I did it started more so in like 2023 or 2020, no, 2024 is when I really started like practicing every day and forcing myself to believe I love you in the mirror, right? So and what that does is shift things for you on a subconscious, on an energetic level, so that your body starts to get in alignment with that belief, with that frequency. And that's going to
Yeah.
raise you out of whatever it is, self-hatred, and more
Yeah.
to self-love, right?
Yeah. And
So,
it's that shift between the energy, making it manifest into the physical reality.
yes.
Is actually, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's just like a very strong theme or like core thing that I've had to work on in order to be able to become, this version of myself who is a lot more whole. You know what I mean? A lot more, I'm so much nicer to myself. Um,
Mhm.
than I was before. And because of that, I can show up differently in my life and in my business as well. And now I get to teach other people how to do the same thing.
Yeah. I feel like this is the perfect lead on as well. How, Taylor, would you say that you utilize energy and energetics within your business? Because you and I do have our businesses in this field,
Mhm.
but for the person who perhaps doesn't know us yet or is new to our world, or um, if you were explaining to them how we work with it and how you specifically work with it within your business, what would that be?
Mhm. So, energetics in business is like, I love this. First of all, I love business. Business is my favorite thing in the world. So, let's get into it. Now, using energetics in your business is actually it's a new paradigm of business.
Hmm.
So it's getting rid of the logical way of doing business, moving out of
Hmm.
the masculine mind and into
Hmm.
the feminine soul,
Yeah.
right? So it's getting into alignment with what I would say is like a soul mission or the reason you're here, or, getting into more alignment in your business with like something. It's also about being like in service in a roundabout way, but it's like, how can I serve in the way that is in alignment with my path in life, my purpose in life, my mission in life, so that my higher self can lead the way in my business, right?
Hmm.
So it's like every human being comes here with a very specific path. And your job over time, it's not going to happen when you're 14 or 15. You know what I mean? Like unless you were raised that way by your parents, unless you have very, very
Mm.
conscious parents,
Yeah.
which is a thing of the future, like which is the way.
Hopefully teenagers start listening to their parents by that stage.
Yes, right? So it's like I'm sure it's challenging to journey parenthood in this day and age. So um it's like it'll happen later in life for most people, right? A little bit down the way when you start questioning this reality in your existence, right? But it's more so getting into alignment with that path, the reason you came here, right? What are your values? What are your beliefs? What do you want to do with your life? What is the highest expression of you? How do you want to show up in the world, right? Like, what do we actually as opposed to going to work, like how do we want to express ourselves to so that we can live the best lives possible, right? Like how can we ignite more of the soul expression to be
Yes.
to make money, live abundantly off of our own gifts and talents and the unique soul expression that we came here to live by, to share with
Yeah.
the world, right? So it's looking at business from this standpoint as opposed to just how do I got to do this to make more money to get this. It's like actually leading from a mission or a purpose, right? Leading from the soul and getting
Mhm.
into alignment uh with that space by letting go of, all the things that are no longer serving you in your business, right? So maybe you have an offer, maybe you have a business direction that you're just not aligned with anymore. Or maybe you've been running a business for so many years and you want to make a transition into something that's more aligned with your soul, more something that brings more fulfillment, something that's deeper to your heart, right? Deeper and closer to your heart. So it's coming into more of an authentic place within your business leadership, right?
Mhm.
So that's one way of sort of looking at how can I get into leading from the soul in business, right? And then also developing a connection with your higher self in business. So once you
Mhm.
sort of activate that soul mission, right? Once you sort of activate that fire within you, and you sort of there's an energy that comes online, right? And that energy becomes the driving force in your business, right? And you actually start to work with the soul more. And as that energy kind of grows, um, it's like your higher self coming online, guiding you in your business. So you're now no longer like, I'm talking throw logic out the window here. Like
Mhm.
oh, no logic involved, right? Now we're leading from our intuition. We're leading from the knowing, the inner knowing. We're leading from the nudges. We're leading from our clairaudience, right?
Mhm.
We're leading from what do we hear? What is the divine downloads? What are the inspirations that we're receiving? This requires you to slow down. This
Mhm.
requires you to not have so many distractions. You have to learn how to um, quiet the mind, right? So that you can create the space to receive this information. So
Mhm.
it's like leading from a more soul aligned, slower, more intentional space where you are co-creating with the universe. You
Yeah.
are being led by your higher self and your soul, right? You've sort of activated your soul blueprint in your business. Now you're in alignment because this is
Mhm.
the reason why you came to this earth, to
Mhm.
share this unique expression with the world, whatever your soul came here to fulfill, right? Like what is your like soul's prophecy, right? And then once you
Mhm.
get into alignment with that, the rest of the universe will come in with that support, right? Your guides, your angels, your higher self, right? All of these universal forces are going to start supporting you on making that thing come to life. And
Mhm.
then essentially, once you've sort of developed this connection with the unseen, as we've been discussing in terms of energetics, right? When you develop this connection, then you get to lead from this connection 100% of the way. So strategy is important. It is still an aspect of your business. We've discussed this before. It's like 5% of your business. You still need to have a masculine structure in your business. Business is masculine, right? But we can lead from our feminine. We can lead from this place where we make decisions based off of what we are receiving from the unseen, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like, and I'll give you an example of what this looks like physically, right? So when I invested into, this is just a real raw example. When I was guided to start my business in the online space, right? And I discovered it was a network marketing business. It wasn't fully aligned, but it was a bridge. It was a bridge to get into the online space. It was a bridge into people that were operating from higher consciousness. They were of service to other people. Do you know what I mean? It was a bridge into this world where people are, you know, more in alignment with a soul mission, right? In business. But it wasn't really aligned with me. So it didn't end up working out, obviously. But I learned a lot. But through that avenue, I discovered my first coach, right? So that was more of like a mentoring space, like a group mentoring space. And then this was more of like an actual coach.
Mhm.
So um, when I discovered this coach, I knew at a deeper level that I was going to pay this woman. Okay. So I found her. I like watched her do a presentation within my network marketing business. And then I like found her Instagram. I deep dived like into all of her stuff. And then I went to an event that she had in like a neighboring city in Toronto. And I saw her in person. And then I booked a call. She was on like a world tour. She's from Australia. And I booked a call. And after that event, obviously, got on the call with her. And then I was like, I'm going to invest. I don't care how much it's going to cost, whatever. And at the time, like, I didn't have any money. I actually, when I made that investment, it was a $10,000 investment, and it put me in the most debt I've ever been in my entire life. Okay, by making that investment, which is good for stretching your energetic capacity. Debt, we can go into a whole thing on debt and money if you want to later. But um, because and then I paid off that investment within like 3 months, by the way, you guys, because the universe will bring you the support to pay that off, right? So it's like I made a decision that was not logical. That was literally going to it stretched me, right? It made me very, very uncomfortable. But I did it. I paid off the investment within like record speed. That's the most I've ever paid off that amount, like the quickest I've ever paid that amount of money off. But And then by me investing in that coach, I discovered the coach that I have now, which has completely, like, do you know what I mean? It's a snowball effect because I made that decision to invest not from a logical place. I didn't look at the bank account. I didn't look at, you know, any of that stuff. I just knew at a soul level that I was being guided to make that decision regardless of
Mhm.
how it looked to the outside world, regardless of how uncomfortable it was, regardless of anything logical. I made
Mhm.
that decision. And that decision is what has led me to where I am now. So,
Yeah.
what I want you guys to understand is that was just an example of how we make decisions based off of the soul, the knowing, the inner knowing, the I'm being led and guided to this place. This is an intuitive decision. This is not a logical decision. And that is the energy that you're going to lead with in your business all the time.
Yeah.
Is it?
And I think too, people don't realize that they are actually making decisions energetically
Mhm.
or aligning things within their businesses energetically already.
Yeah.
If you're a person who feels, which I know that sounds bizarre, but some people don't have that connection to their feelings.
Mhm.
Um, for many people, I think women in particular are probably more stronger in this field in the sense that someone will present you with an idea and you will feel whether it is feels good in your nervous system
Yeah.
or not good in your nervous system, or understanding too the difference between this feels uncomfortable, but it feels uncomfortable in it's stretching me for the better way, or it feels uncomfortable. No, I don't. This isn't in alignment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love your expression of how that deep connection with yourself, which is essentially then source and your higher self,
Mhm.
connects you to your divine plan and in business and in energetics. That is so perfect.
Absolutely. And it's just like another strong indication. This is, I'm just bringing like to anyone who's listening, it's like I'm bringing into your awareness probably how you're actually already leading yourself, right? So it's like also leading with, I'm very connected to like my vision, right? Almost to like a fault. Like I will narrow out everything because I'm just so connected to my vision. But my life and from the outside person looking in makes no sense. Like in terms of like what I have or where I'm going or what I'm doing, like this girl, like most people would be like, this girl is kind of crazy and it makes no sense and she doesn't have all these things that are deemed, like all these milestones she hasn't achieved in her life. Like what's wrong with her almost, you know? Even though sometimes I explain my life to people, I'm single, I don't have a house, like all these things, and they're just like, I find this so hard to believe. And it's like because I have a vision that is so powerful that it doesn't require me to have all these things, and all I do is just follow the vision. And all I'm doing is making decisions in my life that are going to get me into alignment with that future version of me that I know has all the things that I want, not the things that society is telling me that are going to deem me acceptable in this lifetime, right? So, once again, I'm not leading from logic in my life, but it is going to look weird to other people. And your job is to deflect all of the naysayers and the doubters and the people, and these might be your parents, and this might be, this is the life of, the black sheep and the person who's breaking the mold, right? We're
Yeah.
leading we're not following, society standards, and we're leading from something bigger, something more powerful to create something that the world has not yet seen before, right? So we're breaking the mold by leading with the energetics, the connection to the unseen, as opposed to doing things out of fear, not making decisions out of fear, not taking action out of fear, letting outside opinions get in the way. You know what I mean? Feeding into the negative thoughts and negative energies, right? We're making sure that we're in a different frequency and we're connecting to that future vision, that future version of ourselves. And then all we do is focus on becoming the identity of the person that already has that thing by making small 1% shifts every single day, all day, in terms of your thoughts and beliefs and your behavior and how you show up. Are you showing up as the version of you that has everything that you are trying to achieve, right? Making decisions like her, thinking like her, acting like her, right? Are you
Mhm.
embodying that future version of you now? That's what's going to
Mhm.
collapse time between
Yeah.
who you are now and where you're trying to go. And then
Yeah.
just one more thing. Um, vision. Also doing the inner work and the healing work, right? To support that. So you cannot leave out your spiritual work and your soul work, your
Mhm.
connection to yourself and healing. Healing is now a component in your business. It's a pillar. It's a pillar for you in your business. And it is an active thing that you are doing to let go of all the unconscious beliefs and fears and traumas that have been holding you back from becoming that version of you, right?
Mhm.
So that's kind of how you work with energetics in business as
Mhm.
opposed to logic and straight strategy.
Yeah. Wonderful. I love how you explained all of that. And from what you're saying, it's quite obvious to me, and I'm sure to many of the people who will be listening to this episode, that one, you love business, two, how well you integrate energy and energetics within your business. And you, yeah, it reflects that in the way that you portray it, which
Thank you.
is lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah. What about yourself?
at, yeah, so at its core, all of my businesses are built on energy and energetics first. As you said, strategy is 5%. My, when I got into business, I had no idea how to run a business.
Yeah.
0%. All I knew is I knew how to do my job. I knew how to um, reflect who I needed to be in that job. I didn't know about any of the strategies. I didn't even, one of my businesses doesn't even run on social media, which is beyond my brain, but it earns like multi six figures because I show up in an energetic frequency in the way that actually doesn't need to have that as a strategic source, right? But everything I do inside my coaching business is guided by nervous system regulation. It's guided by subconscious reprogramming, much like what you've said, that energetic alignment and identity embodiment. It's really those four concepts that demonstrate when a woman or person shifts their internal world, that her external world will naturally reflect and naturally follow. So in business, I feel, and what I've experienced is when I am not showing up in alignment, I see it more or I recognize it more because I'm so used to sitting in alignment these days that the misalignment feels terrible.
What
Absolutely terrible.
Give me an example of like when you're feeling misaligned, like a tangible.
Okay, fantastic. So when I'm feeling misaligned, I will notice that I feel unsettled,
Mm.
that I am unable to make a decision. I feel overwhelmed or frustrated, or I'm catching myself in a state of complaining, or um, perhaps it manifests as a sickness in my body, or things are not, I'm forcing and I'm getting a constant energetic block. So it might look like, oh, but I really need to go here and do this thing. And it's like the car, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say the car won't start. The car will start today. But do you know what I mean? There will be these actual energetic blocks that stop me going, no, that's not what's meant for you right now. Let's get back into alignment and frequency. So essentially, it's really like how safe I feel within my nervous system at that time. And am I listening to what my nervous system needs? Um, in that moment and in that expression, and then how that expression is then reflecting. Um, for a lot, when I am in that state or when I catch myself in that moment, the go-to thing that I look at and I will spend time in is dropping back into what does my nervous system need? So I might take a step back and take 5 minutes, whether it's just closing my eyes, dropping into meditation, doing just a simple check-in and being like, what is my body trying to tell me right now? What is my external world reflecting that I like, dislike? And what do I need to change? So essentially, it's still those four pillars, regulating my nervous system. I'm slowing it down so I can actually recognize and be aware of what's happening. And then understanding at my core, is it a fear? Is it anxiety? Is it misalignment? Um, is it something I'm doing, or is it something that I have unconsciously aligned with that I didn't mean to be in the frequency of? Um, and then what I then need to do to embody the version that I prefer to be, or the version that I'm actually wanting to project into the world. I think sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of the time in the busy world that it is today, it is very easy to experience little things throughout the day that can be like a half a degree from your vision. And that if you can keep going on that path, take you by the end of the day, can take you so far away. Things might be like uh, mainstream media as a huge energy reflection that you can get caught up in. And it's not to say everyone should put their head in the sand. You should be aware of the happenings in the world. I appreciate that, but I'm not someone who sticks on the 6 o'clock news every night and tunes into that kind of frequency. I have no interest because I know from my energetic blueprint and from my divine plan that is not in my same reality, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. So when energetics shows up in my business,
Mhm.
I the work that I do specifically with people and the work that I've done with myself for many moons is really learning to regulate that nervous system. What does that look like for you and your world? Because everyone's world is different. So everyone's capacity is a huge thing. Everyone's capacity is different. How you are able to show up for yourself is different. And we all have, if you think of capacity as like a little window, right? And inside that window, it's like this like wave, and that's our capacity frequency, right? And everything gets piled on into this little window, like all of our choices, experiences, um, like our family, our money, everything. Everything goes in this capacity window. And then we pile on life. And quite often it's like all the external things inside this world that stretch our capacity, or if they're not in alignment, make that window very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's looking at regulating our nervous system so that it sits comfortably in that space where we feel fully embodied and aligned with who we truly are at our core, as you've mentioned, that authentic self. For a lot of my clients, even just asking the simple question of, what do you want?
Mhm.
And actually just owning, what do you want?
Mhm.
I remember when I first got into mentorship with Nat as well, where you and I met. And I thought, I'm mad going into this space because I'm going to show up on the first day and be like, I want to earn 100K in a month, every month.
Yeah.
And then when I said it, everyone else in the group was like, yeah, let's all do it. And we all set the same goal. And I was like, holy shit, like this is amazing to be in the same energetic frequency
Mhm.
with women and souls who are not afraid to want what they want and are not afraid to create that higher state of frequency. Um, because we've been able to move through all of the um, misalignments or lower energies or societal imprints that it tries to create from the world um, that tell us we should be a certain way. So by regulating our nervous system, we come into full alignment with our higher self, our truest desires, what we actually really want, how we actually want to show up. And the way in which we do that is we start removing or clearing or reprogramming or actually just instilling, because a lot of people um, don't even have the programs that they need to be their highest version of themselves. I'll give an example. So I, how do I explain this? I was about to use a client's example, but I will not use that. So uh, for myself, until I fully aligned with the version of myself that I really wanted to be. I want to be that multimillionaire who lives in a highest vibrational frequency, who lives a luxurious life, who is not afraid to be driving around in a Lamborghini. And even though these things are 3D elements, it's the frequency of luxury, right? The frequency of ease, peace,
Yeah.
abundance, joy, those things that make your nervous system feel like this, right? They're all just energies. But I lost my train of thought.
Um, so I just got so excited about the frequency
Yeah.
describing.
Yeah, so
Like
so
speaking
when
language.
yeah, so sorry. I was thinking, oh yeah, I was in the frequency of the Lamborghini. That's okay. So the thing I looked at was what is in my way of getting to that thing. So is it my previous belief of you're not good enough that was imprinted on a soul level, instilled however many generations behind, that I needed to remove or instill? That's where I was going. So what can happen is in life, we can experience energetic imprints. They can be imprinted in this lifetime or other lifetimes that carry through. Using this lifetime as an example. So, say for instance, you are a 6-year-old girl, you have been playing in the kitchen, and all of a sudden you get in trouble for doing something, and someone says, you are useless. Why would you do that? And from a 6-year-old girl, you then have the imprint of, I am useless. So then everything else that is reflected in your world throughout your years has that energetic remembrance of, I'm useless. So the work that we do with business energetics or energetics in general is going back to those times, finding where that blueprint came from, or where that energetic footprint is probably a better way to say it, came from, and reprogramming it from that point in time so that it reflects in our most current reality, in our most current timeline, or in the timeline that we're experiencing in our higher self, as I'm useful. Everything that I do has a purpose.
Mhm.
Those subconscious beliefs and patterns are essentially, they create the imprint. They create our whole identity structure, our whole our whole selves, really. So then when when we understand these subconscious programs, beliefs, patterns, emotions, expressions, and we actually instill. So we would go back to that 6-year-old girl, we would instill, instead of I am useless, I am useful. And then that would then change how you show up in your energetic frequency. And by having that program, she's now able to make decisions from the space of I am worthy, I am confident, I know that the decision that I make is the right one. Uh, it shifts then how you would relate to money, success, love, relationships, literally everything in the world. And then again, that capacity of it would expand how she is able to hold her own energetic frequency and her own energetic growth, and then be able to create and sustain that transformation indefinitely, not just in that temporary state where it's like, you can say into the mirror 100 times, I love you, I love you, I love you. I'm not useless, I'm not unworthy or anything like that. Um, Instead, you're looking in the mirror and you go, I am powerful. I am abundant. And you actually understand it to your core. And that's where the energetics comes in to once you have formed energetics and done the inner work, it will mirror into your business in the same way. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that is like that shifting the belief at the core and then being able to show up as that person that's like I'm powerful, that actually believes this at a subconscious level because you've transmuted that belief, right?
Mhm.
Then you will literally become a different person, right? Like your cells are rearranging and
Hmm.
you are doing this work at an energetic level. Like you are like
Yeah.
literally shifting your DNA. So
Yeah.
your cells are rearranging, and now you have literally become a different human being, right?
Yeah.
That carries a different set of belief systems, right? That's why it's so important for people to understand that belief rewiring is like a core component of your business. I
Hmm.
just did this actually yesterday. So, actually, 2 days ago, I just did a huge process where I went into meditation and I connected with, when you do it enough, my subconscious just showed me, or my guides will show me, the experience or the version of me that I had to deal with at that moment and what beliefs she picked up at that very experience in the from the past, right? And I had to literally learn what that belief was that I was carrying in a subconscious level, right? And it was that I can't be seen for who I am. Like it's not safe for me to be seen for who I am.
Hmm.
And then I had to actually, my higher self gave me, the belief that I'm supposed to install into my being. And it was that I am safe to be held in love. Okay.
Yeah. How
So,
powerful is
yeah. So, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I shifted this belief and how my body responded. Okay.
that?
So, so I had a belief that's just part of my being because it's there. So it's normal to me, right? Now, this is like the same as looking in the mirror and saying, I love you, and how your body reacts to it because it's so foreign to your framework. It's so foreign to your being, right? So when I sat there, because there is an embodiment component of installing that belief,
Mhm.
it needs to be thought, expressed verbally. It needs to become who you are, and you need to anchor it in somatically to your body, right? So I had to sit there and say, I am safe to be held in love. I am safe to be held in love. And there was a lot of constriction in my throat because I have a lot of throat chakra blocks, right? It's a big part of what I'm here to heal, right? So it literally feels like needles in my throat as I'm saying it, right? And I knew that I was healing and working with the throat chakra at that time, right? And I started to literally cry. And now the crying is the physical representation of the healing, right? That's how your body is releasing the stored energy, that
Yeah.
unconscious belief, right?
Mhm.
So, and I just kept saying, I am safe to be held in love. And you just cry, I just cried through it. And then
Mhm.
I felt, my throat become a lot clearer as I was saying it. And now for the next, 20 days, I'm just going to keep going back to that belief and saying to myself, I am safe to be held in love. I am safe to be held in love. I am safe to be held in love. And now
Mhm.
what that's going to do and shift for my external reality um,
Mhm.
is going to be I'm going to be on a completely different timeline because now I'm the person that believes that she's safe to be held in love. So your job is to look at the subtle reflection and what changes in your reality because energy work is subtle, right?
Mhm. It's
It's not
very
like you're going to
subtle.
wake up to $1 million in your bank account. No, it's a subtle, not yet.
Wouldn't we
Yeah,
love?
actually, it's not
We
limitless.
will one day, but that's fine.
We will soon, right? So it's like what is the subtle reflection that you notice about how people are treating you, how your clients are showing up, what's going on in your business. All those little things that you do internally will shift the external mirror. So that's one
Mhm.
very tangible example of what it's like to change that belief within yourself based off of like all the stuff that Nicole had just described about how working with energetics in your business is quite literally like life changing. So,
Absolutely. And I think it's important to also speak to the fact that there are so many different modalities that help the process of that modality will help target energy or energetic frequency at a different level. So, for instance, you've got the modality of Reiki,
mhm.
which works with the energetic system or the subtle body, your chakra system, and your energetic field to help clear, remove any energetic blocks, hooks, cords, sinks, energetic imprints, past, present, future, because they're all the same timeline. That's a whole different,
Yeah.
a whole different podcast on its own. But then you have modalities such as theta, as we've already said, which is that theta brainwave state, that deep meditative state, the state in which you can access your conscious, your higher self, your intuition, your connection to your spirit team, on that level where the physical isn't so involved. And then you have other modalities like breath work or uh, yoga or any form of exercise, or I'm sure there's a gazillion other practices out there, but just some examples of how you can access those different energetic frequencies more specifically.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And for anyone listening, I think people do this, even if you have no awareness of energy and energetics, we do this more than we think we do.
Mhm.
We're actually in touch with energy and energetics more than we think we are. And it's not really until you start learning the specific language that you're like, oh, I've been doing this for years, but I had no idea.
Mhm.
So even where I was saying coming into business, like I was and still am so successful in my businesses because I was leading from a place that was so in alignment with my truest, most authentic self. In my first year of business, on my second business, I hit multi six figures with zero business strategy. And when I mean zero, zero. I just showed up in a certain way that aligned me with that frequency.
Mhm.
I showed up in a certain way that was in alignment with my truest, most authentic self, which yielded that outcome. Zero business strategy, all to do with inner work. I had to be the frequency that I desired that could have the capacity to even hold that in the first place. But I did so with that zero strategy. It's only now that I'm 3 years in to that business and I'm like, oh, I should probably implement 5% strategy. Could work. Let's see what happens.
Like, just to go off of that, right? She's saying like her energetic capacity is all she worked on to bring that success in her business by doing the inner work. And this is what we're saying, right? Your capacity is a reflection of your past self, right? So all of, your beliefs and all the stuff going on in the unseen is a reflection of what your nervous system can hold right now.
Mhm.
So if you, and this is why people hit ceilings in their business or specifically money ceilings, right?
Yeah.
You are already your wealth container, your energetic, wealth container has to stretch. Your nervous system has to stretch in order to be able to hold that higher level. So if you're still
Mhm.
operating from old you trying to hit a way bigger financial level, like you're going to have to do the work internally to be able to hold that. And I don't just mean make it, I mean hold it, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of people have that unconscious program where they will make it, but they will get rid of it just as fast, or you will manifest something that takes it
Mhm.
away from you, right? So,
Yeah.
this is like an example of how expanding your capacity to hold the thing that you're trying to achieve is important. Especially, and then specifically with Nicole, it was like that's what allowed her to hold that money and this business at this level from no strategy,
Yeah.
right? It was a
Yeah.
strictly an energetic frequency via her own nervous system capacity that was able to call this in and magnetize the clients and the money and what have you, right? The success without the strat is that's the same business that doesn't have a social media?
It's only been literally last week I had a conversation with my VA like, oh, I've got like a following on social media, but because our laws in Australia are so tight with this business, we're actually not allowed to market advertise anything like that. And it was only last week that I had the conversation with my VA like, oh, maybe we should put a little bit of extra effort into this business and see how it goes. 3 years in.
Yeah. So it's like, oh,
3 years in.
So now on an energetic level, Nicole's ready to expand her capacity with
Absolutely.
that business, right?
Mhm.
So she's gonna A, implement a new strategy because like
Yep.
we said, strategy is important for business growth, but her
Yep.
whole focus is going to be on the energetics, right?
Absolutely.
One
Yeah.
5% strategy shift, 95% energetics to stretch her capacity to call that in. And all she's going to have
And
to do is show up in a different way, the way she did when she
absolutely.
was in business.
And it was recognizing, speaking to what you were saying about ceiling, it was recognizing that after 3 years, I've reached my ceiling. I've reached my ceiling in that business. Therefore, I was like, okay, well, now it's time to shift. How do I need to show up a little bit different so that I can expand my capacity in this business to show up at the next level? To create. So I started creating new goals, which is a really simple energetic practice, so that you can say there's a tangible thing for me to work towards in order to align my frequency to, therefore to get to that level. But in order for me to get to that level, that capacity window needs to change. Sorry, that sun is very bright behind my head. Okay, yeah, I need to be able to expand my capacity to hold that next energetic frequency. So again, it comes down to, okay, so what might be stopping me from reaching that level? And a big thing that I have recognized is some subconscious beliefs of unworthiness, which have stemmed from a masculine standpoint that I have to face in order to shift my frequency. Again, business is masculine. We've already said that. We did a whole podcast on this. Go back and listen. Episode 2. Um, but understanding that in order to get to that next level, I have to go back to this deep subconscious program. And whether it's like I can do that myself or whether I need to outsource, because it doesn't mean that we're lesser of a person because we don't know how to do something or we don't know how to see something or we don't know how to access that thing. My theta practitioner or my mentor have the ability, and the reason that I choose them, they have the ability to see what I cannot see yet, so that, or, okay, fantastic example actually, to where my ego is trying to stop me from getting to my next and highest level, they're able to bypass that ego, whereas it might be really strong in my field, so I'm unable to bypass it at this point in time on my own. So I outsource to my mentor or my theta practitioner, whoever I'm meeting at that time, or a different person, and they're able to bypass that ego, get to that subconscious but program, and help me remove, release, instill, change, redirect, realign, whatever it is I'm needing so that I can get to my next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's important to note as well that, like, although we do this work, we still have blind spots, right? So it's like we
Within ourselves. Yeah.
ourselves. Yeah, like how,
Yeah.
because we do have still our ego is very much alive and present in our day-to-day life, right? And sometimes we just can't pinpoint what the issue is or what the block is or what we're not seeing, right? So, making a choice to outsource so that you can get to the root of the issue is actually still in alignment with what your higher self wants for you. It's
Hmm.
the energy of asking for help and knowing that you are supported and that it's okay to be held and supported by another person, right?
Absolutely.
So you're releasing the control aspect and
Hmm.
you're actually yeah, opening to receive. So
And surrendering to the divine, right? So
that,
that divine is divine source, spirit, however you want to
yes.
word that for yourself. But it's that surrender to kind of say to yourself, I can't get out of my own way
Mhm.
right now. I can't see the next step because I'm so enmeshed in what I'm in currently
Yeah,
that I need to outsource because I know I have this within me. I know I can get there, but I'm just not able to do that fully on my own. And like you said, there are times when you have learnt the tools, the skills, you have that wisdom where you can go within, like the example that you gave, where you can sit with yourself and you can access your spirit team, you can channel your guides, you can do these practices within yourself, which is what we teach
yeah,
within our mentorships, is how to go within, what that looks like. Um, and it's also the awareness of, even though I have these tools and these resources, I still at times may need to outsource to someone who has greater capacity, more knowledge, more wisdom, or can just see what I can't see currently.
exactly. And I'll give you an example of when I did this recently. So I, like you said, like so two days ago, I worked on that unconscious, subconscious belief all on my own, right? Those are things I can do. But recently, I went into this like spiral energy almost. And that's when I booked a psychic business consult, right? That was the reason for me booking that consult, right? Now, this is just another mentor that I know has access to something I couldn't see, and I knew she was going to be able to help me, right? I just knew. Like, obviously, I was being guided to her as well, because my guides still teach me it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to hire help. In fact, it's actually going to be pretty much how the rest of your life is going to go, because I'm always going to have once
100%.
yeah, it's like there's always somebody that can teach you, somebody who's journeyed what you've journeyed and they can guide you, right? So when I made that decision, right, I was going to go into like, I mean, I'm quite regulated, so I know how to get myself out of it. And in that moment, my way of getting myself out of that energy was by hiring support, by
Hmm.
outsourcing. And what I
Hmm.
did in that moment by doing that was I got on the call and it completely transformed how I was perceiving my business for the next year. And
Hmm.
because I've made that one little micro choice to
Hmm.
outsource, to get receive guidance from somebody else, that completely put me on a whole new timeline because I made that choice, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then it shifted my outlook. It changed my energy. It did so many things for me that allowed me to keep moving forward in my business in the right
Mm.
frequency. So, what did
I
it
was about to say, do you feel like it was the right frequency?
do?
Because sometimes it's like, you know that something's misaligned,
Yeah.
but you can't quite pin it. And then someone goes, oh, this is it. And you're like, of course, ping.
Yeah.
Like, it's like instantaneous confirmation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I just yeah. So what that did was put me back into alignment with my truth, with
Hmm.
myself, my business direction, putting me back into trusting in what I'm doing, right? Because you will have self-doubt, you will have moments where you're like, I don't see the result."
Hmm.
Come back to going into the energetics and looking into the unseen to be able to leverage that as a driving force in your business and in your mindset and in your perception, right? So that is a very powerful example of how me choosing to outsource just in that one moment, it was one call that completely changed the trajectory of myself, my energy, and my business.
Hmm.
So just knowing that it's okay to do, and we do it
Yeah.
too. Even
Absolutely.
though yeah.
Mm. So, for the person listening, Taylor, I would love to know if you could only prescribe one energetic practice that would completely transform someone's life, what would it be and why?
Transform someone's life or a tool to use in their business? Which one?
It's
What?
the same as.
Same, same. Okay. Um, so energetic practice, I would start learning how to channel. I think meditation and channeling. So
Mhm,
it's pretty much a non-negotiable at this point in your business, and understanding that your business is an energetic being. You are an
mhm,
energetic being, and plugging into that, um, the source of your own self, right?
mhm.
Slowing down and meditating is you connecting with source energy, right?
Yeah.
It's like plugging yourself into a socket, right? Of energy. And that's how you recharge. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? It's
Yeah.
like you are the plug and source is the socket, and you're plugging yourself into source, right? And connecting with
Yeah.
that energetic aspect of yourself,
Mhm,
which opens up the pathway for all this connection to the unseen that we're talking about. But
mhm,
you cannot do that if you are if your mind is infiltrated with lower frequencies, if your
mhm,
energy is carrying density, trauma, you know what I mean? If there's all of this stuff in your energetic field, you're never going to be able to access this uh, energetic component of reality,
mhm.
right? So,
Yeah.
my number one life-changing tool and practice for anybody is to start meditating. And if you have to, start a guided visualization, guided meditation journey. You don't have to do it yourself. Meditation is so scary for some people, and I resisted it for so long. Once again, we're so programmed against our natural state of stillness and being. So
Mhm,
I understand if it's scary to you, I understand that. But sit down, let someone guide you. Your subconscious is already doing the work. Your higher self knows you're there. You got all of the aspects of your being sitting with you, your guides, they're happy. You know what I mean? So just know and trust that the minute you start doing this work, your intuition's going to come online. You're going to be able to start connecting with something bigger than you.
mhm,
And that is what I would say to start doing. And just go where you're called. Go into YouTube, start saying, I want to learn how to meditate, or I want to work on this, or I want to do this, and see where the universe guides you, see where your higher self guides you to, and make that time for yourself. It's imperative, it's non-negotiable, it's a necessity, and that's it. Also, I'm running a 4-day energetic mastery challenge. Uh,
mhm,
I don't know if it's going to be happening during this. Actually, it's going to be evergreen anyway. You can come
mhm,
into it. So it's 4 guided meditations that I recorded personally, and it's going to completely take you on just like a transformative journey where you're going to heal, shift things out of subconscious at an energetic level, and then sort of rewire your beliefs. We're going to connect you and open up your channel, connect you to your intuition, and then also connect you to your mission and your future self. So, reach out to me personally, and I will guide you to this meditative journey, and it will completely shift, change, and transform your life. So,
Amazing.
I'm going to give the floor back to you and ask you, what would your like non-negotiable tool or your life-changing tool for anybody to use in their life and in their business?
Yeah. So mine reflects closely to yours. in that my daily practice is my non-negotiable. And that daily practice for me comprises of 5 to 6 different types of channelings, meditations, connections um, that I utilize at different aspects of the day in order to set up my energy, clear my energy, cleanse my energy, connect my energy to source, spirit, team, my higher self, and then prepare my energy for the next day. So really it's a whole day spectrum of meditation and um, energetic alignment that is my one go-to for transformation. Literally, I'm the same as you in that I have packaged these into a bundle. So you can actually access the exact meditations and daily practices that I use via my website, my link tree, my social media, and you can access the exact practices that I do that only take a few minutes each. It's not like you've got to spend hours a day doing these things, that if you practice these little meditations or connections, clearings, that your energy will come into natural alignment. And the way that I teach the integration of these practices is habit stacking. So even before I have engaged with anyone or anything in my life, in the morning I get up, I have a shower, and while I'm in the shower, I'm habit stacking. I'm doing my daily practice. I'm connecting into Mother Earth. I'm connecting into Source. I'm connecting, calling in my spirit team, calling in any guidance that I need for the day. And then I'm protecting my energetic field, because not only are we um, able to influence our outside world, the outside world is able to influence us. So I set up an energetic protection field so that I'm not taking on anyone or anything that I'm consciously or unconsciously wanting to or not wanting to take on. But I'm habit stacking. So while I'm in the shower, I'm doing this practice. So before I've even engaged with anyone, before I've touched my phone, before anything, I've already set up my energetic field. So I'm saying to my reality, this is the standard that I'm setting for myself today. Show me how good it's going to get. And then throughout the day, I have different practices. So it might be cleansing my energy if I have experienced something negative or misaligned. I have an energetic clearing practice that I move through in order to reset my energy. I've got a breathing practice. And these are essentially the tools that I encourage my mentees to take on and to practice daily. I know one client of mine utilizes these meditations on a almost ritualistic basis. Every morning does the same thing, gets up, her whole life has changed. Her ability to step away from being unsure of who she was into a full knowing of her direction, her clarity, just even stepping away from like I'm not sure if I'm making the right decision to it is the right decision. It's that whole energetic difference just from practicing these daily practices, that meditation, that connection, that channel, as you've said. It's transformed her life. I know it's transformed my life. And I can't remember who put it out there, but saying, it's 21 days to build a new habit. So even just giving it a go, for 21 days just to challenge yourself. Like, prove to yourself, do a little challenge. If I do this in 21 days and nothing has changed, nothing has changed. But if I do this for 21 days and my whole life changes and my whole life then becomes in alignment with what I want, who I desire to be, what I desire in life, winning. Who could argue, right?
Yep.
But it's these simple things that a busy world and the way that society is set up that tries to inhibit our capacity to access these things and to access our highest frequencies. So it's having the awareness that despite the happenings of the world, we still have access to these tools, these resources. We just have to actively choose them.
Yes. Yeah. It's like become aware of them and then choose them and then
Mm-hmm.
and make it sort of habitual, right? So that it's just becomes a daily part of who you are. And that's how we connect back to ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
ourselves as souls, as
Mm-hmm.
source beings, as beautiful, feminine, intuitive women who are connected, authentic, aligned,
Mm-hmm.
expressed. Like, this is like, what's the highest form of who you can be in this lifetime? It's this
Mm-hmm.
path.
Absolutely. And it's how, people always speak to their divine mission and their soul purpose. And, this is how you get there.
Yes.
Like, I didn't just wake up one day and boom, I knew what my soul mission was. It happened so gradually and so naturally that it was so easeful and peaceful. It wasn't a forceful, like, I have to sit down and meditate for 25 hours a day and become a monk and sit in the Himalayas. It doesn't happen like that. I mean, it might happen faster if you did that, but I didn't have the time. There's not even 25 hours in a day. But um, it's just these little small gestures that you can offer yourself in a world that is the way it currently is that will transform your life. And whether it's choosing a 4-day challenge that you continue implementing daily, or if it's embodying or choosing daily meditations, whatever pathway you choose is going to be right for you. Whatever mentor you choose is going to be right for you, but it will all align you with your divine mission, your divine plan, and your higher self.
Absolutely.
And that is what will transform your life.
Yeah. And that is why we're here to bring this level of awareness, consciousness, understanding, to you guys so that you too can walk this path with more ease and understanding and knowing that we are walking it with you, right? And it's it's our duty to bring this to you guys. Like, that's
Yeah.
what we're here for. So these conversations just light me up. Like, I get so excited when we do this podcast. So
Yeah.
thank
So,
you so much, everyone, for being here and for listening. We're both very honored to be of service to you all, and we encourage you to join in on the conversation in the comments and let us know what resonated, what you're currently journeying in business and in life, and how we can support you through the topics in our future episodes. Just know that we're here for you, cheering for you, and walking with you on this journey of entrepreneurship. You're
mhm.
welcome to find us and continue the conversation through the show notes. And we'll see you in the next episode of Women Who Rise. Thank you.
Thank you.